Equator.
An equator is the intersection of a sphere's surface with the plane perpendicular to the sphere's axis of rotation and midway between the poles. The equator usually refers to the Earth's equator, an imaginary line on the Earth's surface equidistant from the North Pole and South Pole, dividing the Earth into the Northern Hemisphere and Southern Hemisphere. Other planets and astronomical bodies have equators similarly defined. Earth's equator is about 40,075 kilometers long. 78.7% is across water and 21.3% is over land.
Geodesy of the equator.
The latitude of the equator is by definition 0 degrees. The equator is one of the 5 notable circles of latitude on Earth, with the others being the 2 polar circles and the 2 tropical circles, the Tropic of Cancer and the Tropic of Capricorn. The equator is the only line of latitude which is also a great circle. The imaginary circle obtained when the Earth's equator is projected onto the sky is called the celestial equator. In its seasonal apparent movement across the sky, the Sun passes over the equator twice each year, at the March and September equinoxes. At the moment of the equinox, light rays from the center of the Sun are perpendicular to the surface of the Earth at the point on the equator experiencing solar noon. Places on the equator experience the quickest sunrises and sunsets since the Sun rises and sets almost vertically throughout the year. The length of a day, sunrise to sunset, at the equator is almost constant during the year. Each day is about 14 minutes longer than night because of atmospheric refraction and the fact that sunrise-sunset is the moment when the edge of the Sun's disk passes the horizon, rather than its center. The Earth bulges slightly at the equator. Its average diameter is 12,750 kilometers, 7,922 miles, but at the equator the diameter is about 43 kilometers, 27 miles, greater than at the poles. Locations near the equator are good sites for spaceports, such as the Guiana Space Center in Kourou, French Guiana, as they are moving faster than other latitudes due to the Earth's rotation, and the added velocity reduces the fuel needed to launch spacecraft. Spacecraft must launch to the east, southeast, or northeast to take advantage of this.
Precise location.
The equator, like the tropics, is not quite fixed. The true equatorial plane is always perpendicular to the Earth's spin axis. This axis is fairly stable but its position drifts about 15 meters, 49 feet, during a year and the equator shifts likewise.
Equatorial seasons and climate.
Seasons result from the yearly revolution of the Earth around the Sun and the tilt of the Earth's axis relative to the plane of revolution. During the year the northern and southern hemispheres are inclined toward or away from the Sun according to Earth's position in its orbit. The hemisphere inclined toward the Sun receives more sunlight and is in summer, while the other hemisphere receives less sun and is in winter, see solstice. At the equinox the Earth's axis is not tilted towards the Sun and the day is about 12 hours long over most of the Earth. Near the equator there is little distinction between summer, winter, autumn, or spring. The temperatures are usually high year-round, with the exception of high mountains in South America and in Africa. See Andes Mountains and Mount Kilimanjaro. The temperature at the equator can plummet during rainstorms. In many tropical regions people identify 2 seasons, the wet season and the dry season, but many places close to the equator are on the oceans or rainy throughout the year. The seasons can vary depending on elevation and proximity to an ocean. The equator lies mostly on the 3 largest oceans, the Pacific Ocean, the Atlantic Ocean, and the Indian Ocean. The highest point on the equator is at the elevation of 4,690 meters, 15,387 feet, at 0 deg 00 N 77 deg 5931 W/0.000000 DEG N 77.99194 DEG W/0.000000. Minus 77.99194, highest point on the equator, found on the southern slopes of Volcan Cayam in Ecuador. This is slightly above the snow line, and is the only place on the equator where snow lies on the ground. At the equator the snow line is around 1,000 meters, 3,280 feet, lower than on Mount Everest and as much as 2,000 meters, 6,560 feet, lower than the highest snow line in the world near the Tropic of Capricorn on L'Île Larco.
Equatorial countries and territories.
The equator traverses the land and or territorial waters of 14 countries. Starting at the prime meridian and heading eastwards, the equator passes through. Despite its name, no part of Equatorial Guinea's territory lies on the equator. However, its island of Annobon is 155 kilometers, 96 miles, south of the equator, and the rest of the country lies to the north.
Crossing the equator.
Certain navies, such as the Royal Navy and the U.S. Navy, have a tradition of holding ceremonies on board ship to mark sailors' first crossing of the equator. These rites of initiation have in the past been notorious for their brutality. Milder line-crossing ceremonies, typically featuring King Neptune, are also held for passengers' entertainment on some civilian ocean liners and cruise ships.
Exact length.
In two widely used geodetic standards, the equator is modeled as a circle whose radius is a whole number of meters. In 1976 the IAU chose a radius of 6,378.140 kilometers, 3,963 miles, later refined by the IUGG to 6,378.137 kilometers, 3,963 miles, and adopted in WGS 84, though the yet more recent IAU 2000 has retained the old IAU 1976 value. If it were really circular, the length of the equator would be exactly 2p times the assumed radius. The geographical mile is defined as 1 arc-minute of the equator, so it has different values depending on which radius is assumed, for example 1,855.3248 meters, 6,087.024 feet, for WGS 84 or 1,855.3257 meters, 6,087.027 feet, for IAU 2000. The Earth is modeled commonly as a sphere flattened 0.336% along its axis. This makes the equator 0.16% longer than a meridian, a great circle passing through the two poles. The IUGG standard meridian is, to the nearest millimeter, 40,007.862917 kilometers, 24,859.733480 miles, 1 arc-minute of which is 1,852.216 meters, 6,076.82 feet, explaining the SI standardization of the nautical mile as 1,852 meters, 6,076 feet, more than 3 meters, 10 feet, less than the geographical mile. The sea level surface of the Earth, the GOID, is irregular, so the actual length of the equator is not so easy to determine. Aviation Week and Space Technology on October 9, 1961 reported that measurements using the Transit 4A satellite had shown the equatorial diameter from longitude 11° west to 169 east to be 1,000 feet greater than its diameter 90 degrees away.
Climate.
Lowlands around the equator generally have a tropical rainforest climate, also known as an equatorial climate, though cold currents cause some regions to have tropical monsoon climates with a dry season in the middle of the year. Usually, average annual temperature is around 30 DEGC, 86 DEGF, during the day and 23 DEGC, 73 DEGF, at night. Rainfall is very high, usually from 2,500 to 3,500 mm per year. Average rainy days are around 200 per year and average annual sunshine hours around 2,000.